So, namaste, welcome to Satsang today. Satsang is for the highest purpose, the highest realization of truth, and not only realization of it, but living as that truth. And there is no greater reason for which human beings gather together than to recognize who we really are. And as such, let's just take a moment to acknowledge the fact that wherever we are in the world watching this, or whenever you watch this, whether you're watching live now here or later, years from now, that it is the same one being that is watching this, participating in many forms, many, many forms. The truth is that there is only one being, one formless consciousness, one presence. And it is experiencing itself in an infinite number of forms. And in the human form, when it takes a human form, it can seemingly become obsessed with perceiving objects. It gets lost in that for a while. It forgets itself, apparently, and forgets that it's not an object, it's not a form. And then somehow it ends up back in satsang to consciously recognize its own infinite emptiness, nothingness. And today, I wanted to really dive into one of the main reasons that we find it so challenging to recognize who we are. And perhaps even when we have recognized it, how challenging it seems to be to live like that, as that real truth. And it was a part of my own journey, of course, like everything that's been spoken about here, it's come from my own experience where I really struggled for a long time. And hopefully we can bring some light to it and simplify the process for all of us here. And so, really, already we have two ways of perceiving. Already we have two methods of perceiving. The first is through the senses, the human senses, our eyes, ears, all of that, the five senses that we're all very familiar with. And while we perceive everything through our senses, and the mind will then think about what we're perceiving. And from the level of the senses, it really seems to be that there is a world full of objects, in which our own body is one of those objects, one of those phenomena. And it really looks and feels and is experienced as if everything and everyone is separate to each other. But simultaneously, we also have another faculty of perception, which we may feel not so accustomed to, so used to. It's normal that in the morning when the eyes open, perception through the senses begins. The body starts to move around, gets out of bed, and does all those things. And that mode of perception is natural to us, effortless. You're not making any effort right now to hear through your ears or to see through your eyes. It's just happening. But this other mode of perception is also effortlessly here right now. And it's important to note that we have this other way of perceiving. Did you know that right now you can perceive form through the senses and you can have a variety of experiences of different forms? forms inside, such as emotions and thoughts, and forms outside, such as other people, furniture in the room that you're sitting in, all of that, other bodies. But at the same time, you can perceive formlessness, emptiness, presence, what you really are. Today, I'm going to call it emptiness, I think, but we could use any word. We could use formlessness, silence, stillness, the divine. We could use the word noumenon, which just simply means that which is not a phenomenon, not perceivable with the senses. Right now, you can already perceive form and formless, and I'd like to do a little investigation together, just to prove this to us right now, to ourselves today here, that we can already perceive formlessness. And the reason for this is because most of our spiritual search, our journey, what takes so long to recognize ourselves is that we're making some attempt to come to a place where we can recognize formlessness. But if we can realize today, now, that we already have both modes of perception available to us right now, then things are going to shift in that seeing. That I'm not a person, I'm not a form on a journey to formless emptiness. I'm not a someone trying to reach emptiness. I am emptiness already. So let's do that now. So we're going to just start by looking at a particular object in the room that we're sitting in. Any object at all. It doesn't matter which one it is. We're just going to gently stare at it. You don't have to. Sometimes when I've done this, people are kind of really staring. You can relax your gaze, just looking at an object, any object at all. It could be whatever device you're using to watch this satsang on. Could be your hand, your body, or a plant or something in the room. And we're just going to spend some time looking at the form, using our eyes. If it's close enough, you can also touch the form. You can use your other sense of touch to also experience the form. Right now, you're perceiving forms easily. And then, as our eyes gently remain on the form, we're going to shift our attention to the emptiness that is around the form. So right now, as I'm talking, I'm using this laptop to host the Zoom meeting. And my eyes are looking at the shape of the laptop. And my attention doesn't have to stay where the forms are. My attention can shift to the emptiness, the empty space, the formlessness already here, around, in front of, behind, and around the object, the laptop for me. So I'm noticing with my eyes the shape, the form, and my attention is on the formless emptiness. So right now, simultaneously, my attention is able to rest on the emptiness, and my senses can rest on the forms. Perception of form and formless, engaging both of these modes at the same time. So we're just gently looking at the form, the object, whatever it is, with our eyes, noticing that we can also simultaneously perceive the formless emptiness around the object. And the reason it's important to see that we can perceive both ways at the same time is it begins to show us that our attention doesn't always have to go with the forms, that we can move around our world using our senses, go to work, do whatever we're doing, and yet attention can remain more and more on this emptiness. bringing attention back to the emptiness around the object, while your eyes just gently gaze. So, right now, it's important to note that your attention can go to where you want it to be on the emptiness, the nothingness, the formlessness, while your senses and even your mind are doing what they do, your body. That you are not, perhaps as we may have thought before, attention doesn't have to go with what's happening in phenomena. Not that there's anything wrong with phenomena at all. But if attention moves around from phenomenon to phenomenon, just because the eyes go to another object, does the attention have to go right to it? No. As we're perceiving the emptiness around the object, we're starting to realize that there isn't lots of emptinesses. There's just one open emptiness in which these objects, a laptop and a body, these words all seem to be appearing. And as you're listening, try not to go into a deep state. Try not to close your eyes. You can blink, of course. But we're going to discover something really vital about ourselves here, that we already have two modes of perception. The first is to easily recognize forms. The second is to easily recognize formless emptiness. You know it's here. You can't see emptiness with your eyes, it's invisible. You can't touch the emptiness. I could pick up this laptop with my hands, but could I pick up the emptiness around it? No. The mind will say, well, of course you can perceive it. It's just empty space. It's just the absence of things. But actually, it's so much more than that. It is the obvious emptiness that's everywhere that we overlook. And every time we have had a glimpse of who we are, this emptiness, as soon as a thought arises, usually attention leaves the emptiness and goes to a thought. Attention, not you, because you are the emptiness. And if we can prove to ourselves right now, attention can remain on the emptiness while forms are just coming and going, internal forms of thoughts and emotions, external forms, tangible, solid objects, then we're free right now. We're living free right now. Again, let's just notice that we're proving it to ourselves already. Our eyes are resting gently on a form, and our attention, where our focus is different. It doesn't have to follow around the senses. It can remain on the emptiness around an object. Taking a moment to notice the emptiness around the object. So you are perceiving with both of these modes, one that perceives form, the senses, and one that perceives formless, emptiness. What are you then if you can already perceive form and emptiness right now effortlessly? What are you? You can't simply be a person if you can already perceive formless emptiness. And you didn't have to do years and years of meditation to perceive it. I simply asked you to shift your attention from the form to the emptiness around the form. It was just a shift in the way that you were looking with attention. When you're perceiving emptiness, it's not like looking at a form, is it? It's not, I'm going to look over here at emptiness or over there. It's just the knowing. We're seeing somehow that emptiness is here already. Just taking another moment to reconfirm that attention does not have to go where the mind goes or where the senses go. Maybe we just had this idea that it does. It does have to go. It has to jump around everywhere, from thought to emotion, to emptiness, to a thought, to emptiness, to an experience, to emptiness, and on and on. Why then is it helpful to know this? Because if we are trying to come to a place in our spiritual journey, if the whole reason for being in satsang even is to learn how to perceive formlessness, how to recognize yourself, this exercise kind of really puts that to bed once and for all. Here you are, recognizing yourself as form through the apparent form and senses, and recognizing yourself as formless emptiness right now, already, today, here. And if you look at this, you'll see that you've always been able to do this. If you really want to deepen this experience, you can try to find where the emptiness around the object ends and where the object starts. Just have a explore. Can you find where the emptiness stops and where the laptop starts, or the object? How big is the emptiness of your being? And as we explore like this, we're coming to realize that there's something already present here, now, that can perceive form or formless simultaneously, form and formless simultaneously. As we practice like this, it just becomes a habit that attention rests more and more on the emptiness. And the senses are free to do whatever they do, experience whatever they experience. But as attention rests more on the emptiness, a state of quietness and equanimity begins to develop. The reason we're so up and down and our experience is changing is because our body is constantly having to experience what we think about whichever object we're paying attention to. Fear arises inside, attention goes to it, and the mind starts to think about the fear. But imagine for a moment if you had shown your attention like this, that it can simply remain on emptiness even when fear arises. Fear would just then arise, last for as long as it lasts for, and dissipate, like every form. So just checking again, the attention is on the emptiness. It will want to go back to the form out of habit only, and just bringing it back to perceiving the emptiness around the object, the empty space. What if the thing that we have labeled as the least valuable in our experience is actually the most important? Just empty space, we've called it. It may even seem boring. What is the point of paying attention to empty space? Because it's not really empty space, it's something so much more. It is who we are. Notice that emptiness is not impacted by any of the objects arising in it. So We could spend our whole lifetime perceiving through the senses and mind, trying to get to emptiness. Or we could perceive emptiness is here already now, fundamentally here. And most importantly, that we're already able to perceive, to recognize emptiness now, formless presence. When you recognize this, that you have both of these modes of perception, it's going to begin to become clear that the reason for the whole seeking mechanism that goes on and on and on, seeking truth, is only that we haven't really recognized what we already have inside, that what we can already do or see. The capacity to recognize the empty space around the object is not coming from the body and mind. It's not tangible, the empty space. It's not visible. It's not audible. It has no smell, no texture at all. How do you know it's here then? You know it because you are it. If you really let this deeply inside, it will stop the search, the seeking, with a deep understanding that I am already whatever this mystery of being is that can perceive both form and formlessness. It will stop all sense of trying to get somewhere. A deep recognition that awakening to who we really are is in this moment now and never in the future. Never. And at any time we feel we're suffering, it's because we're trying to use only one of these modes of perception, form or formless, says the mind. When I began to see this, something just started to fall away. There's something about me already that can perceive formlessness, emptiness. What is that? It's of a different mode of being than the body. The capacity to perceive through the senses will go one day for me. This body will go one day. But that which is perceiving emptiness is still here, totally independent of the body, using a body to point to itself, about itself, to help itself recognize in other body minds. But it's just here, independent of anything. So once you realize attention doesn't have to go wherever our senses go, you're also going to realize another thing, and that is that, and let's bring attention back to the emptiness if it's wandered off to thoughts or something. As you perceive with your attention the emptiness, another thing happens, and that is that the mind comes to a stop. You'll find it very, very hard to think about anything when attention is resting here. And yet, your body is still functioning, your heart is beating, your lungs are breathing, you're understanding these words, everything's still going on. It is only when the attention goes to a form that the mind engages and starts to think about that form. So we can practice like this, just bringing attention back. When we perceive through our senses, it will always seem like there is somewhere to get to and something to become. It will always seem like there's a world of diversity and duality and objects coming and going. When we perceive directly as emptiness, it will always seem like there's only emptiness because there is. And for most of us, the suffering continues because we think that we can only perceive through the senses and mind. Let's just confirm one last time that attention can rest on emptiness now, even while your eyes are open and looking at the object. Whatever the object is, you can shift your eyes to some other object in the room too. Notice that attention can remain right here in emptiness. You are that which already has both modes of perception. You're not a form trying to get to formless emptiness. You are something very mysterious which can perceive both form and empty formlessness. Already, we proved that today. And when this satsang is finished, when you go about the rest of your day or evening, this thought will arise again at some point that you have to get to emptiness. And you can simply come back to this exercise to recognize I can already perceive emptiness. And I can already perceive form. I'm simply coming to recognize who I've always been. We're not becoming something here, we're just noticing what's always been true. And the reason for this is simply this exercise is to stop the seeking and begin discovery of who you already are. But seeking can go on forever from this idea that you are a someone trying to get somewhere. Here now we're pointing out, recognizing that we already are able to do everything we're trying to achieve. And a gentle favoring of perception of emptiness is happening over time, is all. The senses will continue to function and the body will go about its day-to-day activities. More and more, you're simply recognizing this that's always here. So if your eyes have closed, you can open them if you want to. You don't have to. But just to consciously recognize that you already can perceive formlessness effortlessly. I hope that exercise gave you a little taste of something very fundamental about you, something very prominent that may not have been appreciated as yet. And if there are any questions, I'd like to invite you to any challenges or questions to raise your hand here on Zoom, and we'll go through as many as we can. Or if you'd like to do some self-inquiry or contemplation with me, I'm absolutely up for that too. We'll start with Elaine when you're ready.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. I think I can't be alone in this, that with eyes closed, no problem seeing form and formless as the same.
Mm-hmm.
And with eyes open, I can see formlessness around an apparent form. But you said, and if you want to go a little further, see if you can tell where form and formlessness are distinct, something like that, I
Where one
think.
ends and the other apparent starts, yeah.
Right. And I found that that's, I can't see through the laptop. And obviously, that's not what you meant,
Yeah.
but it still seemed like there was an edge. And I tried to relax. And so I'm just looking for your feedback on that. They really do seem very distinct.
So let's do it now together. Let's play with this if you want to, and everyone can join us in this. If we go back, your eyes are just looking at the object, right? Whatever the object is.
Yep.
And your attention is resting on the formless emptiness around the object.
Yep.
So just bringing attention to the emptiness now and tell me, if you can, where that emptiness stops. Where does it end? It gets seemingly closer and closer to the object, but where does it actually stop?
So I think I'm not understanding what that question is.
Yeah.
There appears to be, appears to be, I know with eyes closed that that's not true, but with eyes open, I feel, I see something, something discerns a thing.
Mhm.
So emptiness is all around it. I know that.
Let's go from the other way then. Something
Okay.
discerns a thing, you said, right? I think.
Yes. Yes.
How do you know it's a thing? How do you know the object you're looking at is an object? It's a big question, but it's a really useful exploration. Take your time. It would be easy to just sit here and say, I'm obviously looking at a laptop
Right.
or whatever it is you're watching this on.
Right.
But how do you know there's an object there?
My senses are perceiving an object and I have eyes open. So I am seeing an apparent object.
Apparent
Which,
object, yeah. So
yeah. Yes.
why are you so sure that it's an object? And this might seem like a really insane question because the mind
No.
will say, "Well, obviously, it's an object, it's a phenomenon. I could pick it up and touch it."
Right.
But what do you know about this object without your senses?
Oh, well, without senses, I know nothing about this object. Nothing. If but without senses, I close my eyes so that I don't have vision or sight.
Hmm.
And I'm not using my thinking about what might be in front of me that is with eyes open. I know that's how I'm communicating with you through this laptop.
So, with eyes open, it's easy to believe you're looking at something,
Yes.
but all you're really experiencing through the senses is some stimuli coming in, right? There's a
Oh,
vibration coming in through the optic nerve, which
oh,
the brain says is, it stamps it as laptop. It's given a label of computer or whatever. But do you know, if you don't know anything about the object without the senses, is the object really independent of the senses? Does it exist without the senses, the object? Can you prove that if all of your senses were gone, the object would still be there? Can you prove that?
no. If it you said you're just picking up, what did you say? Neurological phenomena.
The
What
stimuli coming in through
stimulus?
yeah. So what you know about the object, really, all you know about it is a visual stimulation. If you were to pick it up, there'd be a tactile sensation. But actually, you're not experiencing the object, you're experiencing in your senses, right? Are you with me so far? There's a smile,
Yes.
so hopefully,
Yes.
yeah. If,
Yes.
if not, it's
Absolutely.
okay. We can, yeah.
It's fabulous. It's fabulous. Yes.
Without the senses and without the sense of memory, without the mind thinking about the objects that you have previously perceived through the senses,
Right.
there's no evidence of any phenomena being present at all.
Yes.
Even
Yes.
if we say, okay, I wouldn't be able to prove the object was there without the senses, but some other body might be able to. Let's break that one down.
Okay.
Are you really sure now that there are any other bodies? Don't you need your senses to perceive those too?
Yes.
Any any fear arising or anything?
No,
No?
absolute awe. Awe.
So it begins to become clear when we investigate like this that an object isn't really something that exists independently of the senses. They might actually be the same thing.
So I was attempting, or I was imagining that somehow I would be using the eyes, somehow see a dissolution of the object into formlessness.
Yeah.
But that's not what this is.
Through the senses, it will always look like a laptop
Thank you. Okay.
and feel
Okay.
like one. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But as we begin to realize that we have no proof of any phenomena at all
Mhm.
without the senses that we need to perceive them with,
Oh, delicious.
then
Thank
the
you.
whole
Thank you.
world kind of uh, gently melts into that, right? That if every appearance of every human body is perceiving, thinking they're perceiving objects separate to those senses, then there's a self-sustaining illusion in that, isn't there? I think
Absolutely.
I'm seeing you through my senses. You look like you're different to me, separate to me,
Yes.
and on it goes.
But you, Helen, you never not see distinct. I mean, you know what you're seeing is not what you're perceiving you're seeing.
Yes,
No, but
yeah.
the sense it. Yes.
What the senses here still perceive just like yours. If we were standing in the same room, we perceive the same apparent objects.
Yes.
The coffee would smell like coffee and
Yes.
all of that, right?
Yes.
And sandpaper would be rough and silk would be smooth. Same, same.
Get it.
All of that would still be there. But this other mode of perception that we have that can perceive directly formlessness, as we begin to also recognize that, we also begin to recognize that the world of forms might not be as real as we think it is, at least not as forms.
And that just comes with doing the practice.
Yeah, and as we've proved today,
Yeah.
if the very vehicle that we're using to perceive the world of forms is temporary, then the whole perception of a world of forms is also temporary.
Yes. Yes.
And if we begin to recognize that we cannot separate the objects that we're perceiving, the things in the room that we're perceiving, cannot be separated from the sensory experiences of them, that they're not really two, they are one.
Say that one more time.
Yeah. Let's recognize again that we cannot perceive an object through our senses without the senses.
Right.
So they're not actually two different things. The mind would like to say there's my senses, my eyes, and the object I'm perceiving. But have you ever seen an object without your eyes?
Eye awareness. Yeah.
So we can move to the subtle inner objects in a minute, but just to recognize that the perception of the objects in the room that you're sitting in, you need your senses for that. Are they
Yeah.
really two different things then? Are there objects and senses, or is it something different happening?
It's one. It's one.
Where is the world then, is it inside of you or outside of you?
inside, inside. There's no outside of me.
All we can be absolutely certain of is that I am here and that there's some visual stimuli going on right now or some sense perception. Everything else after that is what's being alluded to. Of course, as you pointed to, there are the subtle inner objects of thoughts which we're perceiving, seemingly thoughts and emotions seem to be inner objects.
And we seem to be seeing those.
Yeah, from awareness, as you said, right? From
Yes,
emptiness.
yes, from
Let's
myself. From,
let's explore emptiness together directly. Let's perceive it together now directly. Emptiness, formlessness, silence, whatever you want to call it. But what's your favorite name for yourself, your real self? Just so we can talk about it. Silence, presence, stillness, emptiness.
I like emptiness.
So, from the emptiness now, do you see any objects at all? Take
From
your
the
time with this one. Does
from the
emptiness see forms at all, even thoughts?
only apparent, only apparently.
Mhm. So, can you find a place where the emptiness ends and a thought begins? Or if there's a sensation in your body right now, where does emptiness stop and does sensation begin? Like, where's the actual dividing line? Here it's emptiness,
Absolutely.
and here it's a sensation.
Right, right. Seamless. It's
See,
absolutely seamless. It's
so
there.
is it actually a thought then or a sensation?
No, it's just a vibration or I don't know what to call it.
And what is vibration made of?
mm, same, 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 same. Love or emptiness.
Mhm. So even with or without our senses, we have just proved that there are no objects really existing independently of the emptiness. They will always, yeah, no, they will always seem to be here. Right now, I could pick up this glass and take a drink, you know? But just to know inside, it's not really how it appears to be. And then it's fun. It's fun then.
Absolutely. It's so cool.
Because what we
It,
do is we go, this imagined object I like, this imagined object I don't like, this one I want to get rid of, this one I want to have more of. So
thank you.
wonderful. Thank you for exploring that with me and playing
Oh,
it.
thank you for the opportunity. Thank you. I
Wonderful.
love you.
I love you too. Okay, we'll go to Anne next. When you're ready, Anne.
Hi, Helen.
Hi, love.
Um, I've just recently returned to your teachings and really enjoying them. I'm hearing them in a whole different way, and I particularly appreciate the way you share about your own personal experience and what you've been through to to do what you're doing now and
Mhm.
have so much growth. Um, so I've been involved in non-duality probably about 10 years and originally saw the awareness, the empty space that I am some time ago and managed to hang out in that for quite a long time, really, really a long time actually.
Mhm.
And then what happened with the space opening up was a lot of repressed feelings coming up
Yeah.
in the last few years. So I've had some kind of dark nights of the soul, mini deaths, and
Oh,
what,
yeah. I remember those. Yeah.
yeah, really painful. Um, and there's a little bit of an argument inside me going on now because before it was like awakening's everything, it's all that matters. And I love being in that because it took a lot away a lot of desires and hopes and dreams that I didn't need.
Yeah.
Um, but recently, these things seem to be coming back, and it's difficult to describe, but there seems to be a bit of an argument goes on inside me, kind of like, oh, I really want to go for this full awakening and dissolve all the repressed, trapped things inside me.
Yeah.
Um, but I have to really as I used to really put my attention in the space, as you practice here, I now have to really put my attention into the feelings, and there's a lot of resistance to that because I've actually avoided it with going into the space
Yeah. Yeah.
and hanging out there.
It's all that, right? We all, certainly I did. When I first recognized emptiness or silence is what I am, I camped out there. I like the whole world of forms is unreal. I'm just not going to pay any attention to it. Inside, for outside, all of it. But it was coming from a place of avoidance and not wanting to look at all of that. But as it got clearer and clearer that emptiness or whatever we're calling ourselves is not really different than the forms, then there was this urge to re-engage with all the things that needed to be re-engaged with. And you explained it very well that there's this need to allow whatever energies need to move that haven't been able to move, emotional energies and all of that. So there will be this kind of resistance or reluctance to um, re-engaging with it, but there's also something that really wants to as well on some level, right? The real self doesn't see any difference. Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly right. But because it's so beautiful in the space, and there is some really dark trauma coming up, how do I? Can you suggest or speak about any way you can deal with that resistance? And it's kind of like, how long do I stay in that? Because I kind of go into a quagmire of darkness. Can't get out
Ask
into the
you,
space again.
I'm going to really ask you a very direct question. And whatever the answer comes, it's okay either way, right? Whatever emerges from it.
Mm-hmm.
Can you prove that you are choosing whether to go into the darkness or back into emptiness? Can you prove it seems like that? But can you find a person who is choosing here? And there seems to be a choice, right? I really would rather just hang out here because here it's quiet and nothing is going on. But I also feel like I'm drawn over here more and more and more to the world of form and what needs resolving and looking at. Can you prove that that's you? Is there a person that you can find who's making this choice of where to put attention? Take your time with this and just really search and see, are you a person making this choice?
Well, it's funny because as soon as you said it, and even as you were speaking, there was a relief, um, and a little bit of joy came up from that question that you gave, because
Let's look together now and see. Are you the one that has to choose this? Can you find yourself as a person or something that has to choose?
it's my mind
Yeah.
giving orders of don't do this, do that. You should do this, not that.
And the mind says, if you pay attention to form, you're going to suffer again. It says, don't do it.
Mm,
But maybe it's the idea that we're choosing that brings the suffering, not the
mm,
actual. Wherever the attention is, the attention is.
mm.
But this idea that we are the one that has to manage that process,
Mm.
it's just not true, is it?
No, it's um, sorry, I've just gone blank.
It's okay. Enjoy it. Sweet relief, right? From the
Mm.
idea of being someone. And just noticing there's no one here choosing like that. And attention will go to an emotion if it arises and remain on the emotion as long as it needs to until it's resolved. Then it will go back to emptiness. Attention will go back to a form, a thought, or a sensation in the body, or another person, a parent person. And it's just going on by itself, that, right? Attention is just wandering around, doing what it needs to do, cleaning up the mess that was left by this idea of a person.
Mm.
But you're not really involved in that at all.
I,
Not,
I just think something came up then that's a bit like, but kind of, am I making something out of nothing with, oh, like you have to do shadow work and get these repressed emotions out, and
do you know anything about yourself at all as emptiness? What can you know about yourself?
nothing.
So, can you believe anything that you think is true? Do you still know that you have to do this work and that it's going to be terrible and that, all of that? Doesn't the recognition of your own formless emptiness, which is really quite unknowable, isn't it? It's quite a mystery. You don't really know anything about yourself. You can only know that you don't know anything.
Yeah, absolutely.
So everything else that we have thought to be true has to be called into question here.
Mm.
The fact that I have to embody this uh, emptiness, allow it to express itself, merge into it, become it, release things, let go of things, all of that. I had to suddenly, well, not suddenly, gradually realize and then suddenly admit, actually, I don't know any of that is true. I might just be here as this. And all of that stuff in phenomena is working itself out by itself. It's a total game changer, isn't it, when you realize this?
I think I'm going to have to listen to this back, Helen, because I've gone totally blank.
It's all right. Who you really are heard it, don't worry. But yeah, you can listen again, obviously, when it's uploaded. Yeah.
Yeah,
Enjoy it.
yeah. I think as it, when you ask the question, even right from the beginning, something felt relief,
Yeah.
untied a knot. So,
Because it's never the problem we think. We think the problem is, oh, how do I deal with all these emotions coming up and all this stuff that needs to be resolved? But it's never
mm,
that, is it? It's always the actual problem is I might think I'm doing this, and actually it's not true. So right then, the
mm.
illusion is gone, it's done, it's finished.
I suppose there's just a question mark of, do I really need to do this? But then you go back to,
Let me ask you, can you do this? Is this something you can do? Even before
mm,
questioning if I have to do this, let me ask if I can do this. There's emptiness, what can I do?
but that takes away from training your mind to go on to attention. Because if you're training your mind to go, sorry, train your mind to go into the space. Because if you're training your mind to go into the space
Yeah,
and then you're detouring
you
back,
busted me. You got me. Yeah. Not
back
even that is happening, right? If I say, and it's a useful instruction at first, bring attention to the emptiness.
mm,
It seems to be that we brought attention, or I made attention move from the form to
mm.
the emptiness. But is that really true? Did I do that? Can I do that?
Well, it seems to give me a lot of relief at the moment to do that. But
But
then,
what if, though, attention is just moving on its own?
mm,
Even this, even recognizing the emptiness. And let me ask you an even more direct question. In the perception of your emptiness now, here with me,
mm,
is there any such thing as attention? Can you find something called attention in the emptiness?
no, no.
Yeah. When that hits you, what that means, there'll be a little bomb goes off inside at some point. Yeah. There's literally no work for you to do, nor could you do any. Enjoy it.
Thank you, Helen. Thank you so much.
Wonderful inquiries. Love it. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, we have time for probably one more. We'll go to Harpreet. See, we might be able to squeeze in one more after. We'll see.
Hi, Helen. Can you hear me?
I can, yes.
Now, I spoke to you a couple of weeks ago when I mentioned this feeling of flatness, apathy, this stuckness,
Yeah.
and you suggested to contemplate, to
Yeah.
ask, is it actually true? Which is what I've been doing. And I noticed two things. So in doing this, I noticed like the mental answer coming, of course you're stuck, and then, the relative evidence for that. So I knew that was coming from the mind.
Yeah.
And at other times, that's not the initial response. When I do it, it's just emptiness, space. And then the mind comes in and says, well, now you're stuck there as well. So I saw that. But what I've noticed is there's more energetic stuff moving in the body. And especially in the heart area, I feel this weight at the back, the front. And it's a little bit what Anne said, I think. I think there's on, even though I would like to feel I think there's an unconscious avoidance to feel. I think the mind is scared to feel the emotions because it intuits it's going to be overwhelming.
Yeah.
And I've even sort of realized that I cannot consciously make that happen to feel it. So yeah, so I don't know if you wanted to add anything to that. So I was trying not to go into that belief that I'm even more stuck now because I actually feel the stuckness here and in the horror
Can you
area as well.
can you prove that you are stuck? There is a feeling, a sensation in the chest and in, stuff going on in the body.
Yeah.
But what if that sensation is just another answer to the question that you're asking and has no more or less relevance than any other answer? So the bird singing outside, the thought that I'm stuck, the sensation, they're all just answers coming and going. What we do is we listen to that thought, I'm stuck, and we go, yes, we agree with it. But it's just a thought that says, I'm stuck now. And in contemplation, we're just kind of allowing every single answer that could come. So if you sneezed in the middle of it, that would be an answer. If you had an itch, that was another answer. Someone knocked on the door, another answer. A thought says, I'm stuck, another answer. A thought says, I'm free now, or I have to figure this out. Again, all just answers. Sensations in the body, emotions, all just answers and all equal. No right or wrong answer. So just letting this sensation be there of heaviness. In contemplation, we're not trying to do anything with any answer, we're just letting it be there. How do you feel now?
Relieved, because there's not that sense of that I have to. I think there's that doer coming in again that I have to resolve this now. Yeah.
That when it arises, as it will for all of us, I have to sort this out now. I have to do this.
Mm.
It's just another answer, right? It's a subtle answer. The sense of doer, doing, doing, doing. It is just a sensation. It's just another answer. It can just be allowed to arise. It's just another answer, no different than the feeling of your body sitting on the chair, or these words, or whatever the car passing by outside. No different, right? Just another sensation answer. When you let the doer arise and it's just an answer, it's treated with the same equanimity as all answers, and it kind of disappears.
Just being open to whatever arises and not giving one particular thing more attention or looking for any resolution.
The mind is always looking, and it's all we've been taught to do, and it's
Mm.
normal, but the mind is always looking for the right answer and the wrong answer. This idea that I'm stuck is the wrong answer and it should go away. This sense of a doer is the wrong answer. It should go away. And even if one of the answers that presents itself in contemplation is pure silence, pure awareness, still that's not the right answer. It's just another answer. Here we're just being that awareness, being that silence in which all phenomena are just allowed with the same equanimity. All answers here in contemplation are allowed. Some feel nicer than others, of course, but it's just this endless search for the right answer, right? If I asked you a question in a school, you'd have to try to give me the right answer and really, really try to avoid the wrong answer. But we're just throwing all that out of the window. There's just answers, and they're coming all the time. The mind doesn't really like it because it says, well, we're never going to fix this then. We're never going to resolve this if you don't have a right answer. But you can feel somewhere inside it resolves itself in this equanimity.
Yeah, because I think the mind just it makes it feel worse because it's like an interference, something that's probably going to resolve naturally, but the mind comes in because it's impatient and it just wants it resolved. So it feels like yeah, like an interference.
You can just even treat that as another answer. Mind, just another answer. From your understanding, your knowing, you can see that it's going to get fixed, but not the way mind wants it to happen. Yeah. There's a peace and a stability in that where all answers are the same. All answers.
Yeah, I think it's this strong ingrained habit of having to, like the onus is on me, like having to do something to feel this, like this stuckness, having to release it. I suppose it's
But it's just another imaginary identity of the imaginary separate being, isn't it? I am the one who has to resolve all of this. It's a very well-believed identity in all of us. But still, when we look, we can't find that person whose to-do list is must resolve all my karmic patterns today, It's just not there, that person.
and I think that's where the frustration was coming because each time I looked for this person that can do something, I couldn't find the person. And then the frustration was coming up, but all this is still here, but I can't find a person. So then I sort of saw that as well, that frustration is now coming up.
So, in the recognition of who you really are right now, is there anything that needs to be done from the place of the real formless awareness, or whatever you want to call it, emptiness? Is there anything that needs to be done or could be done by you?
No.
And in that recognition, whatever needs to get done gets done somehow, and it gets done very quickly and efficiently. What if we're so far into our awakening now that the only agitation in the system is this idea that we could do something? That's what agitates the body and mind. The mind says, I'll stop doing when there's nothing left to do, but it's never really going to work that way around, right? What if we hang out and keep reconfirming, re-experiencing that I can't do anything, I'm formless, I don't really have any hands, I don't really have any way to do anything, and see what gets resolved. Even these very urgent problems here, like the mind suggests about the energy and the contractions and everything. Even contemplation, you can't even prove you're doing that. It just seems to be happening more and more. There's nobody doing contemplation even, right? Can you find someone?
Every time I've looked for a person, I've never found the person.
So the problem seems to arise, the contemplation seems to arise. It gets resolved. Next problem comes up, maybe self-inquiry happens. Next problem, maybe meditation. Whatever happens, happens. All just going on by itself, amazingly.
Yeah, something in me just relaxes just hearing that.
So just to come to a recognition of this, even once, is shifting something. Like, wow, I even thought I was doing the spiritual practice, as a separate being. And then just to reconfirm as often as you can that whatever spiritual tool needs to engage will just pop up by itself when needed, as you remain effortlessly here as your real nature. Paradoxically, only from there can everything get resolved, because the imaginary person who wants to resolve it all is the only issue. All of its problems, all of its energetic imbalances, all of its karmic patterns are as unreal as the separate person itself. They disappear with the idea of a person.
Thank you. I'll sit with that.
And it's not an avoidance of everything that needs to be resolved from there. It's just a recognition that, well, I think there's something still to do. There'll be an endless list of things to do, you know? So,
Thank you.
okay. Thank you so much. All right, we will leave it there for today. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here with us in Satsang today, and for your amazingly wise questions. And I'm always in awe of the courage and the bravery to just explore deeply with me, when I myself would have had such resistance to do that. Um, so, yeah, thank you for your courage and this devotion to what is actually true. You can see it's the only thing that's really important. Not that phenomena aren't important, not that the world isn't important, but to see that it all is. The world is the emptiness appearing as a world, and then we fall deeply back in love with it. Thank you so much. Namaste.
Namaste. Thank you, Helen.
Thank you, love.
Delicious.